Hey guys, Adam here again for another Card Talks. Again, on my way home from my dropping off my daughter, and I had a thought. So the thought was about PowerShell and scripting and how I got started and how you can get started. Just to give you a little bit of history, if you're not familiar with myself and my Adam the Automator blog, I started out scripting with batch files when I was probably 8 years old. I was one of those kids that would rather sit on a computer with no internet connection and script things rather than go outside and play with his friends. But I've always had a passion for scripting and automation. I remember back in the day, we used to have the auto exec batch files, and I used to create these really elaborate menus of how I wanted to boot it up, and how much RAM that I wanted to set aside. All you old school guys, 640K conventional memory is always good enough, right? But anyway, I started out with batch files a long time ago, then went to school, kind of lost interest, and then I went back in my career in 98, got my first IT job, and in 98, 99, I started out with VBScript, and I did a whole lot with VBScript, and I was all into it. I mean, I did everything you can possibly think of for those, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years, something like that. I was even into VBScript classes, if you can believe that. I was a hardcore VBScript nerd. After that, Monad, I heard this thing called Monad, so I gave it a shot, and believe it or not, I was like, yeah, this is nice, but I've got VBScript. At that time, I could do just about anything with VBScript, so I thought. And, I tried out Monad, and like, yeah, this is nice, but I'm not going to do it. So I went back to VBScript for about a year, and then I decided to give PowerShell a shot, and I'm sure glad I did. Ever since then, I'd say the rest is history, and I focused the majority of my career on PowerShell for the last few years. But anyway, the reason I kind of tell you that story is because even somebody like me that's just focused so much time and so much energy in the career on just PowerShell scripting and automation, even I at first was like, I don't really care for this, I can do something else. But I wish I could put my finger on why I decided to start back with PowerShell, but I'm glad I did. It was just so much easier to use from VBScript. So once you actually got it and could see that I didn't have to mess with methods and all that stuff with VBScript, PowerShell was much better. But if you're still kind of on the boat to where in the boat of deciding if you want to learn PowerShell or not, or really get invested in it, or maybe you're just, what it is and you've downloaded a few scripts on the internet and they've worked, why haven't you, let me ask you this question. Why haven't you started more and writing more scripts? Feel free to add a comment in the comments section. I would really like to know that. What has prevented you from doing that? Is it time? I know that I refer to my last Card Talks that I hate time, no time is an excuse, but is it time? Are you just scared, or are you afraid you're going to automate yourself out of a job, or or do you think that you're just not a developer, you're not a coder, you're maybe an IT professional? I mean, I was an IT pro for nearly my career until the last, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years, where I'm more of in DevOps and a software developer at this time. But you don't have to go to that extent by any means. Go past the stigma of I'm not a coder, I'm not a developer. Well, scripting is kind of that in between. You're not an application developer, but then again, you're not your typical click next IT admin either. With PowerShell, it's kind of I like to call it the gateway drug between an IT professional and a software developer. It definitely was for me, but I'm really interested to see why people aren't adopting it, or maybe are afraid. Because if you're not afraid to start something new, really the best way is to just start out with a simple problem. So figure out something you're doing every day that takes a long time, and something that's just a pain in the ass for you to do every single day, and just try to do it with PowerShell. Or at one time, I decided I'm going to just do everything possible with PowerShell. There was a lull in the business there a few years ago, and I decided, you know what? Every task that comes to me, I'm going to make an effort just to do it in PowerShell. And that really, it's like kind of like, you know, going to a different country to learn a foreign language. That forcing you to do it really helps you. You know, it forces you to learn new ways and to learn rather than like, this is nice, this is taking too long, I'm just go back to the GUI. That's another good way to do it. But there's a lot of different ways to do it, and maybe go into another card talk on, you know, some opinions on how to get started and really how to get into it. But for now, I just really like to know about, you know, how come, you know, what's prevented you from diving into it more, what's prevented you from writing scripts or modules and writing PowerShell code from your own for your own instead of just downloading scripts from the internet and modifying someone else's.